Paris, France. In February of 1912, the Italian Futurists displayed their works. At previous exhibitions, the Futurists had been critiqued by many, including one Ardengo Soffici, who in his review in La Voce stated that the Italian Futurists talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. And the Futurists reacted with violence. Something has changed for the better, it seems, as this time they've come through with something much more influential. That being said, Futurism, in my opinion, is an Italian imitation of the two schools of French painting that have succeeded each other over the past few years, Fauvism and Cubism. Neither Boccioni or Severini is devoid of talent, however, they have not fully understood the Cubist painting, and their misunderstanding has led them to establish in Italy a kind of art of fragmentation, a popular, flashy art. Today, I am here to talk to some of the artists and attendees. I am here with Filippo Marinetti. You're on record saying we are beginning a new epoch in painting. Can you elaborate on that?
Of course. Italy had better pick up the pace and join the modern age. Feminism, morality, and museums are really, really bad, especially compared to things like electricity, anarchy, and radical art. Italian Futurism started as an art movement and a cry for social change. It wasn't a political party, but it did have some very reactionary ideological loyalties, like to anarchism and fascism, and a no-hold-barred approach to government. Eventually, I had to start a separate branch of the Futurists, just for political causes. Aptly named the Futurist Political Party. We spelled out our political affiliations in 1909 in the Futurist Manifesto, basically calling for a new world order. Thumbs down to the church and kings, thumbs up to Italian nationalism. Things like that. I was also pretty taken with the famous dictator Benito Mussolini, so we Futurist politicos joined forces with him for a while. He gave me a coveted academic position, so what's not to love? We would get together over bottles of Chianti and share our hopes and dreams about Italy's nationalist future, as well as our affection for conflict, combat, bloodshed, and nationalist supremacy. It was time to put Italy on the map. We wanted everyone to respect, fear, and admire us as a nation. We would be a spiritual, we would be aesthetic, and we would be a military force to be reckoned with.
So what is the Futurist Manifesto all about, and what inspired it?
Well, let me just read to you right from the manifesto itself. We intend to sing the love of danger, the habit of energy and fearlessness. Courage, audacity, and revolt will be essential elements of our poetry. Up to now, literature has exalted a pensive immobility, ecstasy, and sleep. We intend to exalt aggressive action and feverish insomnia, the racer's stride, the mortal leap, the punch and the slap. We affirm that the world's magnificence has been enriched by a new beauty, the beauty of speed. A racing car whose hood is adorned with great pipes, like serpents of explosive breath. A roaring car that seems to ride on a grape shot is more beautiful than the victory of Samareths. We want to hymn the man at the wheel, who hurls the lance of his spirit across the earth, along the circle of its orbit. The poet must spend himself with ardor, splendor, and generosity to swell the enthusiastic fervor of the primordial elements. Except in struggle, there is no more beauty. No work without an aggressive character can be a masterpiece. Poetry must be conceived as a violent attack on unknown forces to reduce and prostrate them before man. We stand on the last promontory of the centuries. Why should we look back, when what we want is to break down the mysterious doors of the impossible? Time and space died yesterday. We already live in the absolute, because we have created eternal, omnipresent speed. We will glorify war, the world's only hygiene. Militarism, patriotism, the destructive gesture of freedom bringers, beautiful ideas worth dying for, and scorn for women. We will destroy the museums, libraries, academics of any kind. We will fight moralism, feminism, every opportunistic or utilitarian cowardice. We will sing of great crowds excited by work, by pleasure, and by riot. We will sing of the multicolored polyphonic tides of revolution in the modern capitals We will sing of the vibrant nightly fervor of arsenals and shipyards, blazing with violent electric moons. Greedy railway stations that devour smoke-plumed serpents. Factories hung on clouds by the crooked lines of their smoke. Bridges that stride the rivers like giant gymnasts, flashing in the sun with a glitter of knives. Adventurous steamers that sniff the horizon. Deep-chested locomotives whose wheel paw the tracks like the hooves of an enormous steel horses, brittled by tubing, and the sleek flight of planes whose propellers chatter in the wind like banners and seem to cheer like an enthusiastic crowd.
So this movement is anti-women. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I say we take all the women, put them in one place, and build a wall around them, and make them pay for it.
Now I am here with Gino Severini. Futurism is similar to the popular style of Cubism. What is the connection between the two?
I'll tell ya. Futurism and Cubism are comparable in importance to the invention of perspective, for which they substitute a new concept of space. All subsequent movements were Latin in them, or brought about by them. The two movements cannot be regarded as in opposition to each other, even though they started from opposite points. I maintain that they are two extremes of the same sign, tending to coincide at certain points which the only poetic instinct of the painter can discover, poetry being the content. In the early days of the Cubist methods, of grasping an object was to go round and round it. The Futurists declared that one had to get inside it. In my opinion, the two views can be reconciled in poetic cognition of the world, but to the very fact they appealed to the creative depths in the painter by awakening in him hidden forces, which were intuitive. The Futurist theories do more than the Cubist principles to open up unexplored and boundless horizons.
How will this form of art influence future in society? How is it different from other art movements?
Well, the Cubists and other avant-garde in France can see the danger of being called futurists. They are attracted by research involving the movement of the complexity of subjects. To avoid this kind of threat, they invented orphism. And prior to the 20th century, Impressionists and Expressionists recorded the changes they were seeing in society due to the Industrial Revolution. We are taking our critique a step forward into a more radical direction. We must stop thinking about the individual and start thinking about what is best for society.
In the past, the Futurists had been received poorly by critics. What have you done to improve?
Well, I think that's a very valid question. I had spent quite some time in Paris with the avant-garde, and I have numerous cocktail parties with the Delanays, who are also here today, if you have a chance to meet with them. And I realized their kind of work was fit for the rhetoric of the futurist. And so I gathered everybody else and had him come out to Paris and to learn a thing or two.
I'm here now with Sonia Delaney. You and I met in Paris, and you also know Gino Severini from Paris. How are you connected to the Italian Futurist movement?
Well, yes, you're a great friend of my husband Robert and myself. You helped identify variation of Cubism that we've been using in our paintings, and you did coin the term orphism. And we were able to develop our theory of simultaneity from this. So Severini also spent time in Paris with Robert and myself. He found our work inspiring and a good fit for the Futurists. He brought it back to Italy with him. Many of the styles you see in this exhibition today were inspired by Robert and I. And Orphism prioritizes harmonious contrasts of color. The Cubism used by the Futurists is more analytical in its execution, and it's far more cubist in motion. They also borrowed simultaneity, intending to create rhythm, movement, and depth and examining movements and how things work together. Many of the styles used today came from me, although I don't think that the Boys Club wants to admit that they were inspired by a female artist. So we'll just give that credit to Robert.
So what is your take on the Futurist movement?
Well, Apollinaire, I think that art can be a powerful way of communicating ideas. And they are one of the first groups, the Italian Futurists, are one of the first groups to really use art to represent political viewpoints. This will definitely be influential for future artists to explore other ways to make statements through art. I don't like that they not only exclude women, but are anti-women in their art and message. It's not right, it's not right, it's not right. Females in general have to fight for their voice to be heard. And female artists have slowly been making ground with male artists gaining recognition for their skill, contribution to the art world. It's not right to disregard a large portion of the population based on gender. There are many women who have made or are making contributions to art. Women such as Paula Modersohn-Becker, Gabrielle Munter, Marie Laurencin, and myself, who have drawn inspiration of style, who they have drawn inspiration of style from. They have drawn inspiration of style from my art, orphism, simultaneity, but they don't want to give us credit. And it's not right. It's not right. And I believe that the Futurist Manifesto could use a revision.
Despite the flaws in Futurism, there is potential and progress in the movement. This exhibition is sure to be received more favorably than past exhibitions. According to American Art News, there's reportedly been a bidding war started between 3 galleries for who will host the exhibition in London. This has been Guillaume Apollinaire at the Italian Futurist exhibition in Paris. Have a good night.
I don't care what people say about the Futurists Manifesto. I'm highly educated. I know words. I have the best words. Futurism is going to be great. It's going to be great.
Severini is not qualified to be an artist. He panders to whatever and whomever is in his best interest at any given time. It's not okay. It's not okay.
What are you talking about? I am qualified. I have been called many things in my life, but unqualified is not one of them.
Marinetti is an embarrassment to Italy. An embarrassment. His viewpoints are not, and I repeat, not progress. They're not.
I don't know what's wrong with Sonia Delaunay. She's got blood coming out of her ears, among other places.